would certainly like to thank our fans for braving, I think it was an hour and 42-minute weather delay to make sure that we were very well represented at home during the Shula Bowl, and it was really fun to see their crowd as well, the FIU fans that did come and stuck around through that weather delay. I'm sure Coach McIntyre feels the same way. You know, want to thank the fans that weathered that storm, pun intended, and really, really happy to come away with a win. It's our first win in damn near a calendar year, and against a good football team. We've got a lot of respect for Coach McIntyre and what he's building down there. They've got a really good quarterback and a much improved defense, and so I think those guys will make some noise in their conference. And more than the win, I think I was proudest of our response to adversity. You know, we did everything you could think of early in that game to try to lose it. You know, we went 3 straight 3-and-outs. We gave a cheap touchdown on defense. We had a block punt, and we found a way to settle ourselves down because, I mean, it had all the feelings and makings of the last 2 games from a frustration level, and something clicked in our guys, and they found the confidence necessary to just go back to their training, trust what they've been coached to do in times like that. And the second and third quarter was about as good a football collectively on the different phases, different sides of the ball as we played since I'd been here. Now we got to learn when you're up 34-7 or whatever, 38-7. You got to be able to finish people out, and you know. But that last drive by the offense, you know, they got their butts in gear. I think we ended with a double-digit play drive and kneeling the football, or at least getting the first down to end the game. And so overall, really pleased, but also know that as improved as FIU is, UConn is going to be even more formidable. Coach Moore has done a heck of a job. They got a big-time quarterback and receiver. They've got a big tailback. Their offensive line is probably as good that we've seen on film at this level. I know they're independent. They used to be in the conference, at least last time I was in it. And so it certainly rivals any offensive line in the American Conference right now. And so, and then they're pretty multiple, to say the least, on defense. They come from the Rocky Long school of 3-3-5, kind of bring people from everywhere, blitz and safeties, you know, 3 safeties. Sometimes they look like they're playing linebackers. The other times they're 30 yards deep in the post, you know. And so it's a tough defense to kind of wrap your hands around, and we're playing on the road. So we've got a tough challenge ahead of us, but we grew a lot, not only in the lead up and preparation into the FIU game, but during the FIU game. And I think if we make the same kind of growth this week heading into the UConn game, we're going to give them a heck of a game. Injury update, Day Hill did suffer a high ankle sprain. So he did not practice today. It will be a game time decision. We're going to try our best to get him ready. You'll hopefully jog it around by Thursday or Friday. And you know, he's a vet. He's a guy that, you know, got a ton of mental reps today at practice. So we're going to do our best to get him ready. And then Jarvis Johnson, our young freshman linebacker, tore his LCL. And actually we'll need surgery on that here pretty soon to repair that. So he'll miss the rest of the season. But other than that, we're a little banged up. FIU's a physical team. We've played 3 really, really physical games in a row, and we gotta take a deep breath and go prepare for another one that may be the most physical of the bunch. Questions?
Coach, I want to ask about this very real quick. Last week he had a big game, 3 touchdowns, 134 yards. How important was it for him to have a big game like that in a rivalry setting?
Well, it was important for our offense and the growth of it. I thought, now he didn't get touched on the 4th down, the 70-something yarder. Now he needed the speed to get through there and the vision to see it, but it was a hell of a job by those guys up front. So I just thought both backs, especially him, other than that 70-something yard run, what is that? He's at 60-something. I don't know what his yards per carry would be minus that run. But I thought our backs, they saw the runs better. I think they're going to need to be patient this week. Boy, there's so much movement on this defensive front that you kind of got to let it sort itself out before you try to hit something, because what looks wide open may be closing from a twister or a blitzer or somebody coming that you didn't even see. So we're going to need that patience and vision this week. But I thought both backs, but him especially, man, it was good to see him, considering the year that he had, the expectations we had for him going into last year, and then the injury, and he's really responded. He's having a good first few games.
Yeah, you mentioned the injury. Do you feel like he's finally shaken off the rust a little bit from the early season? Because the first 2 weeks, the running game really struggled. Not just him, but do you feel maybe he's finally gotten back into form after the shoulder injury?
I don't know. I know that there was a myriad of reasons why the run game, and by his own admission, he didn't play to his level. Was that rust? I'm not sure, but he definitely is seeing the game a little bit better right now, it seems, and hopefully he will Saturday with this type of defense too.
Coach, I wanted to circle back on just quick hits on the injuries. Scarley, do we expect him this week?
Good question. Yeah, Scarley is working back into practice this week, very timely, with Daughtry breaking his hand in pregame warm-up. Another thing we had to respond to and overcome. So I think it's too early to say if he'll play in the game.
Questionable.
But probably. I don't know what the differences are. But we're going to try to get him ready. He took reps against the scout team today. Tomorrow the plan is for him to take reps with the defense, and we need to talk about it a little bit more, because this type of defense may not be the best way to get your feet wet coming from NAIA football, and next thing you know, it looks like they got 14 guys on the field, so we'll talk about it, but we need him, we need his body, we need him healthy, we need his ability, so it'll be nice to hopefully, it looks like if he stays on this trend, he'll play for us.
So Daughtry is still out then?
He's not out,
questionable,
but the way that they have to club his hand to make him safe to play, he's having a tough time with it. We're hoping that on game day they can put him, I think on Thursday actually they're going to try a smaller cast, so that instead of a club, maybe he has use of a couple fingers. You just can't play offensive line without your fingers.
Yeah.
And so we're going to try a new cast out on Thursday, and if that helps, then he can perform his duties at an adequate level, then he'll be ready to go. The only thing that's holding him back right now, he's cleared to play, it's a broken hand, but you have to protect that hand,
Sure.
as with any broken bone. So kind of hard to play offensive line with that hand. So we're going to try our best to have him ready, but it'll be all dependent on whether he can really function with that hand.
Cam, you didn't really seem too concerned about. He was just having a twitch or a spasm.
No, he hurt his finger again. I think he got stepped on in the Michigan State game. But he's been dealing with it, treating it. I mean, this is something that probably will be bothering him until the bye week, and we can rest it, completely for a good week. But he's good.
Okay.
I mean, it is throwing hands, so it is there are some throws that you see, it's like, you kind of look at me like, and I'm like, okay, I got it, you know, and so you deal with it, but he's managing it.
It seemed like this week that his style of rushing was back closer to what it was against Michigan State without the dangerous hits. How did you grade his game style of running this week, and do you think it's something we'll see stay that kind of way going forward?
Yeah, I think, you know, he's the type of guy where you're asking him to make a lot of decisions, even in the run game. You know, run plays are not plays off for quarterbacks in this offense, and so I think we can help him. He can help himself by making better decisions in the run game. But yeah, when he made right decisions and he got out in the open field, when we called quarterback draw, when he looked like the guy we saw on video for sure.
And with the backs, Zoo had, for the first time this season, he led in snaps total, I believe. And so do you guys kind of see that just being a one-game thing, or is it something you take game by game?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, those two guys are co-starters. They're I mean, we have one running back and two bodies. And I think they both like it that way. I know we do as well. You know, that's as violent a position as there is in our sport. And so, yeah, I mean, this is never by design. Like, we don't ever say, hey, we want this week Zoo to get 60% and this week CJ to get 40. You know, it's just who's tired, who's fresh, who's seeing it, you know, while all that stuff. And they're great. They're great.
Would you say that the run struggles against Army in terms of the defense were a fluke, seeing how you guys performed against FIU?
No. You know, Army's a really good football team. And we struggled to run against Michigan State, who's a really good defense. And FIU is a good defense. And this is, again, but when you jump into the American Conference, you jump in right in the deep end. And right, wrong, or indifferent, those are the games we're supposed to win now that we're in this conference. And I know that maybe our resources are much more on par with FIU than maybe USF's, but we got to go beat Army and USF and those guys every week. And so again, a very, very good FIU team, but we've got a big test this week. I think for the run game question, this will be a much bigger test for us.
Coach, in your experience as a head coach, how do you like to go about, you know, emphasizing to your team, as big as like a win this is in like a rivalry setting, there's 9 more, you know, hopefully more.
Yeah, I mean, I understand your question. I hope we're not that immature. You know, I don't think we are. I don't think. I mean, all you do is come to work and turn on the UConn film. Is probably the best answer, because if they don't jolt you into, whoa, we better be on our P's and Q's this week. And I told our team, every time you win, you make the next week more important. You make it, you up the ante, you up the stakes, and that means your level of preparation needs to up as well, and increase, and do it better, more of it, greater attention to detail, so on and so forth. So we understand that, you know, we got a taste of what conference football in the American Conference is going to look like against Army, and this will be another test of you dump UConn back into our conference, and this team that I see on film, it'd be a top 4 or 5 team for sure.
If Day-Day is out at outside corner this week, would you feel there'd be any drop off with whoever steps in his place?
Yes. Yeah, and that is no knock on Mike Antoine, that's no knock on Cam Goggins, that's no knock on whoever else would fill in there. But Day-Day's having a heck of a really year since the off season, and so to be very blunt, yeah, there will be drop off, but that's why one guy's a starter and plays 70 snaps, and one guy's not and plays 10. So we hope to limit that drop off by It's always good, I think, when, not good, if you're gonna have a guy get hurt, you'd rather, get hurt at the end of the game in a win, and now you have the week to get the guy ready. It's when the guy your starter goes down, play 4, and now you gotta play a kid that's gotten half the reps all game, that's hard. But those guys will get all the reps this week, so we don't feel like the drop-off will be like it would be if you just threw them in the game and said, hey, go play the game.
This week was probably the first week where you got to see some of your depth out there, considering the game you subbed in and whatnot. Was there any of the young guys who stood out to you this week, besides CJ?
Eric Brantley and Gavince Marshallin, for sure. Those guys play hard, really, really hard. Jamari Sands is a fun guy to be around, and I love his intensity. He's got a lot of speed and twitch, but he's a tough dude. We got to get him going in the right direction and not jumping off sides on punt block. But some of those guys stand out to me, and we'll continue. Lawrence Johnson, got some quality reps, played well. A lot of stuff he can work on. So yeah, there were some guys that it was fun to see some of those young guys get out and play some football.
So I would say the skill level isn't very much a big difference if you ask me. I would say the most is like the O-line and the D-line, how much bigger and physical they are. I'll say the technique that the receivers use is a little bit more different, but it's not very much like a speed difference. Also, the game planning is very much different. We have more plays, and we're going against people who have more plays and built into the scheme. And I'll say the biggest difference to me is the speed of the game. It's much faster. Teams go tempo. Some teams don't. You gotta get adjusted every week. Every week is like a new week. So you just have to bring your A game every week, because you could go against somebody else who's not as good, but who's very much the speed of the game is faster. So you gotta be in shape basically. So that's very much the difference for me.
Coach said at the end of practice today that this is the next level up, and that trying to encourage players to prepare for the next level up game. What do you see out of UConn, and what are you guys focusing in on this week?
So I'll say for starters is we can't get caught on last week. Yes, we won a game. We did a good job last week, but we can't let last week affect this week. We can't get lazy. We still have to produce, do what we've been doing, stay physical, stay on top of our academics, stay on top of our training, lift weights. We still have to come to practice acting like we're still winning this team, so we can be hungry and come on top again every week by week. 1-0 every week. That's what we say around here.
Wendol, I gotta ask about the interception for Phil. What kind of happened on that play? And did you guys talk at all? What's going on with that?
Of course we talked about it. We talked about it right after the play. We talked about it on the sideline. We talked about it after the game. We talked about it on Sunday. We talked about it on Monday. We talked about it today again. Basically, so I was running ahead of him, and he was pointing behind him for me to go block somebody. So I'm looking behind me. I'm not looking in front of me, and I guess I kind of went in his way a little bit, and I kind of tripped him up. But we got to my open one, so I'm gonna make sure to get him a touchdown for the year over with.
But you made up for it. You were contributing in the pass defense game, really in the run game as well. What was working for you in that game? And you guys really locked Jenkins up for the most part through the air and really limited their ground game.
I'll say we just did what our coach told us to do. Coach Rock come up with a great game plan every week by week. He tells us what to do. He just said, do your job. Don't try to do too much. If you do your job, you're gonna make plays. So that's basically what I did, was just do my job.
And then on a personal standpoint for you, so now 3 games through live game action here, and so has there been any difference at all between the live game action at Kaiser and what you've experienced here?
Yeah, I'll say how sore I am after the games, because they're bigger, more physical. So I'll just say the weight points, how much bigger and stronger and faster everybody is. But I'm getting used to it very much. So.
And as a veteran guy, so what have you seen out of a CJ Hurd contributing now back-to-back games, playing a decent amount of snaps? What's your thoughts been on Hurd?
Yeah, he's a great kid. He trains like he's a veteran. If I didn't know him, I wouldn't think he's a freshman, just got out of high school. So I'm proud of him. I tell him every day in practice, all I need you to do is just talk to me. And even if you mess up, if we all wrong, you got a chance to be right. So don't be afraid to make mistakes because mistakes are going to happen. So just be free. So that's all I'll be telling him. But I'm proud of him.
Anyone else? All right. Thank you much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Wendell.
No problem.
Yeah, being from Miami and especially being from Westchester specifically, growing up there for high school, I went to Columbus, which was right down the street from FIU. This actually meant a lot because I knew plenty of the players on the team. For instance, their D lineman, former teammate from my high school, Jeremy Passmore, great player, great guy all around. And one of their kickers also, Alejandro Prado, went to my high school as well. It just meant a lot because being able to be from Miami and being able to stay undefeated from a team from Miami, it's nothing more like I could really ask for, especially for the fact that I grew up down the street from there, and it was just really special for me to go undefeated my whole career here to the school down south.
Expectations for UConn?
Expectation for UConn is to follow the game plan, execute, and hopefully we can have another great week. We just need to follow our rules and stay consistent, and I think we'll be A-okay.
200-something rushing, I think 259 rushing yards this week. How was that for you guys as a unit to finally get something going in the ground game? Did you guys feel like this was what the offense was capable of?
We always knew that we've been capable of this. We just need to master the art of consistency.
And then Daughtry suffers the hand injury pregame, and then Alex steps in at right tackle. How did you like his performance right side you? And then that big run for Mobley came to your guys' side. So you guys kind of like working in tandem all game?
It's actually funny because it sucks for what happened to Daughtry, but Alex actually came here as a tackle, and he played right tackle, and I was playing right guard. Me and him have been playing next to each other for our whole career. Whether if I was at center and he was at guard, if I was at guard and he was at tackle, or when he was at center and I was at guard. So Alex and I have always had great chemistry, and I have great chemistry with Daughtry as well. And I feel like no matter where someone may go down on the O-line, the ball will keep rolling.
And Cam's rushing attempts step back up this week. When he scrambles like that, does it make it more difficult for you guys, or is that something you guys kind of prepare for?
We know Cam's a running quarterback, and we know that he's capable of using his feet. For instance, he's quick, he's elusive, and we're just trying to give him the amount of time that he needs. And when he starts scrambling, then we got to scramble too. We got to make sure our guys can't get any late hits on the quarterback. Can't let them get any. What's the word I'm looking for? Feel any pressure coming to him for right before his release point. So we're all trying to work together and make sure that he's all good and set.
Did that win kind of spark anything in the locker room at all? Is there a sense of like rejuvenation, or was there never any down moments?
No one was ever really down. Like Coach Joyce said, that before the season starts, we got a one-way bus ticket to hell, and we're gonna grind all the way out of here until we make it out. And that's the way to look at it. It doesn't matter how high the highs are and how low the lows are. You just gotta keep pounding the rock. You gotta keep executing. You gotta stay consistent. It doesn't matter where you're at.
Anyone else? I have one more for me. Somebody let me know yesterday that this is National Hispanic Month. Can you just talk about the culture here as far as being able to play in your community where there is a lot of Hispanics, and then those occasions when you and Fed can speak on the line together?
Yeah, so it's actually funny since it's Hispanic Heritage Month, and Fed and I being the only Hispanics on the offensive line. Actually, I lied. We have Antonio Solano, who's Colombian as well. Young kid, he's gonna come out. He's gonna be great. Me and Fed, when we're in practice or we're in game, I'll tell him in Spanish, like when I need help, be like, ayúdame. And like say we're on pass pro and I have a tight shade and I have a man. Fed's got the slide side. I tell him Fed, ayúdame, and then he'd be like, okay. And then when we're like in the game, you kind of see the opposing defense. They're like, what? And then me and Fed had been doing that since high school. We did that with all our former offensive linemen in high school as well. Everybody on our offensive line in high school was Cuban, and it was funny, man. Those were good times, but these are even better times because now I'm here with better people. Not better people, correction. Let me not say that, but I'm here excelling in another program.